One.
Welcome everybody, and welcome back to a pre-Halloween edition of the weekly roundup. Yes, we'll still have one more left in October, but I was feeling festive this time, and I'm here, even though you can't see me, in costume. This year, I'm dressed as Jason Voorhees from the hit horror franchise, Friday the 13th, and these guys are dressed as nothing.
Boo,
Well,
DJ. Boo his costume.
he's an outsider. He's actually dressed as something.
Yeah. Anyway, we have the bland Karl
Howdy, y'all.
and the boring Jacob.
What's up, guys?
And we're here today to bring you, once again, the news. Last time we were here, we actually did a little discussion about our favorite characters. So if you didn't see that, go watch that video. And if you didn't catch up on last week's news, go look at that as well. We talked about, we talked about a lot of Comic-Con stuff.
Yeah. It was a lot.
That was
Pretty
crazy.
overwhelming.
Yeah, we talked about Comic-Cons. We talked about the continued falling down of WB Discovery.
Which, don't worry, we have more of that.
The continued downfall of a company merger that was destined to fail in the first place is extremely surprising to no one's surprise.
Extremely surprising to no one's surprise. But before we get into the ever-increasing grave of WB Discovery, let's knock off some of our other topics. We have a couple Marvel ones here today, and we have some Netflix as well as some other announcements that are spooky that we will get to later. But let's start off with our Marvel announcements. So we have one here on the Fantastic Four. It has been delayed to February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2025.
That means they have no hope for this movie.
This is
What
going to
makes you
end up
say
in another
that?
situation of the movie never comes out.
Because movies that go out on Valentine's Day or anytime in February usually die. Outside of maybe Black Panther, which I think did come out in February.
It might have. I can't remember. You're the fat guy. You check that while I banter with the audience. So yes, Fantastic Four has been moved to Valentine's Day 2025, a couple of years from now. So that's going to be quite the wait. Other than the fact it's been delayed, we don't have any major news to report on it. We don't really have an official casting so far, even though we did discuss how we saw a funny thing about how Adam Driver might be playing Dr. Doom, or at least potentially, which I think would be very funny.
Or how the devil might be playing Reed Richards.
That too. I mean, aren't they one and the same? I'm just saying.
Back to your earlier question. Black Panther 1 came out on February 16th, 2018.
So yeah, a couple days after Valentine's Day. But it's safe to say that movie did pretty good. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
No, I think it did good.
Well, yeah, it made $1.344 billion.
You know, something small like that. Also, Scarlett Johansson is the executive producer of the Thunderbolts movie, which I feel like is an interesting choice, especially considering that Yelena Belova and Taskmaster are both in that movie.
Which Florence Pugh is being paid $10 million for Thunderbolts and a secret extra MCU project. Rumors are talking about.
Lord,
You got to keep it hush hush, you know. We all know he's making a Condiment King Kite Man movie. Okay,
that's gonna be based.
but we just don't know when it's coming out.
Hopefully, in the near future, because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Another topic we have that is an Image comic called Geiger,
Yeah,
created by the one once great Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, will be adapted for TV by Justin Summing alongside Johns for Paramount Television Studios.
Now hold on a second. What was just said about once great Jeff Johns?
He's kind of faltered over the years.
He said some good stuff.
I said he once great. He's kind of fallen off a little.
Anyways, I think what this shows is the main goal of a comic, right? Nowadays, is not to be a comic; it's to be adapted into a movie or a show. You know, this is most likely why they created it.
Oh yeah. People like James Tyen the Fourth, when they all went to Substack, which was a fun story. They did that as like, oh, I'll go to Netflix and make my own TV show out of these creations I'm going to make over there.
Yep. We could do a full episode on how comics have changed and like their goal and when someone creates a comic, but you know that's for another time.
Yeah, that is definitely a discussion that I feel like we should have in the future, but we don't have the time to now. But it is a very interesting one, to say the least. So with that out of the way, did you have any other thoughts you want to put on Guyver here?
I think good for them. That's like,
I mean, have either of you Guyver?
I've never read Geiger. I've seen it in the comic store though.
I've never heard of it till when I found this news earlier.
I mean,
today.
It reminds me of one of my favorite Godzilla characters, Gigan. So that's pretty cool.
Reminds me of Gokaijar. It's the sounding of it.
Although I doubt he's an alien robot chicken from space.
I also doubt he's a
If only he
pirate.
was.
Although not to be confused with Robot Chicken.
That's a different scene. That's a different thing.
Who are infinitely funnier than us. But regardless, oh boy, we're eventually gonna have to tackle DC here, but we got some Netflix stuff here. I feel like we should quickly run over. Netflix says it's committed to binge releases according to Culture Crave. Darn them for stealing our ideas. And they will not be switching to weekly releases, which I am a fan of.
I love weekly releases.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to, TV shows that are on cable, yeah, I'm totally fine with weekly releases. It gives me a reason to tune into it. But when it's a streaming service, something that I could watch at any time on demand whenever I want to, I don't like having to wait a whole another week to see it when I could just watch the full thing when it comes out.
For me, like binging versus watching weekly, I find this most with anime, where I remembered anime more that I watched weekly versus watching all at once, and so I enjoy it more.
No, that's also fair. It really comes down to personal preference, but I'm just saying that is what I prefer. I prefer at least.
For example, they really messed up with JoJo's. So JoJo's, for example, there's this thing called JoJo Friday, where where episode release and people talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there'd be hype for the next episode. Unfortunately, they decided to go with dropping batches and waiting like 4 or 5 months. They just dropped the second batch recently, for Stone Ocean, but we talked about it. But there was no hype for it because it wasn't releasing weekly, so no one was really paying attention to it.
And that is another thing, like the weekly hype of a project when it comes to, recent releasing it weekly.
Okay, for example, everyone's talking about Chainsaw Man episode 1 and 2, right? The new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
I'm going to compare it to another show. Who's still talking about Stranger Things? Everyone watches it in one day.
That is very true.
And then so they don't remember all the small details.
That is very true.
I'm not saying that you can't have binge like shows everything drops, but you miss a lot by not having it in that style.
When it comes to that style, I definitely know what you mean. I just feel like I'm not necessarily getting my money's worth, but I feel like my time can sometimes be a bit wasted when I have to wait weekly to watch the next episode. Although I feel like this could be handled if a lot of shows on specifically on streaming services. This isn't a cable problem, but I mean, who the heck watches cable anymore?
No.
That streaming services could. What'd you say, Carl?
I was gonna say, I think your 87-year-old grandpa does.
Probably. You mean
I
Walter
know.
White?
Yes.
Is that your 80-year-old grandpa?
Yes. Jesse.
But do you guys understand what I'm saying a little bit when I speak on the format, how it hurts things?
I definitely understand what you're saying. I just feel like I'm not getting what I want when it comes to weekly releases. I mean, it makes me hyped for the next one, but I just feel like, especially when it came to something like watching She-Hulk, which
It was not a very good show in the first.
it wasn't great in the first place, but
Mm.
especially compared to the other Marvel shows, the episodes were short. The credits took up 1/3 of the episode length, something like that.
Yeah, because me and DJ were talking earlier before our other co-host got in, telling him about my spreadsheet that I had made tracking all the MCU projects. And Captain Marvel was the lowest score I had with 45%. It is now beaten by She-Hulk with a 35% by audiences.
Good job, Marvel. You did it.
But hate to say it, Eternals is still the lowest with a 48% by critics.
Actually, to that fact, you were talking about binging versus watching weekly, right? What about Daredevil? You guys said not to binge that show. Why is that? I just
Well, one, because the episodes are quite long.
okay.
They reach the hour length. It's not
Yeah.
like a 40 minutes or something like The Flash where it's a bit easier to digest. No, it's darn close to an hour. It's like 55 minutes.
That's why I said don't binge it, because you will waste a day and a half of your life, and your employer will not be very happy with you.
And you'll feel exhausted by the end of it.
But also, is there like a reason where you forget some stuff from it?
That is very true. I feel like when it comes to certain shows, weekly is a lot better. Like with let's keep with the idea of Marvel shows. Moon Knight, I didn't mind that being weekly because the episodes were actually quite long. They were around 40-ish minutes, if I'm remembering correctly.
I'm opening Disney Plus right now to confirm your facts.
Thank you, Karl. But they felt like, a week's worth of content, and I was satisfied by this. But I'm just saying, with some shows that are, especially if they're shorter, I don't feel that same kind of satisfaction because I feel like I barely got anything, and I have to wait another week to get barely anything again.
I think it all depends. Yeah, like you said, all depends on the type of show. Like
Yeah.
for example, if it's a slice of life show or like a drama, I'm very interested in that second episode or the next episode if something happens. But if it's an action show, unless something crazy happens at the end, I'm not really interested.
Exactly. Like when it comes to shows that are like 23 minutes, even half an hour. Here's my idea: streaming services, whenever they do that, they should release 2 episodes a week. I mean, it really depends on how long their season wants to be. But I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
But honestly, we could turn that. I don't think we need to discuss this anymore. We've already talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
We can honestly do a whole episode on that.
Well, with the most recent video coming out, the discussion video, I feel like that opens the door for a lot of other discussion type videos that we could do in the future, and I feel like that could be a lot of fun.
Another thing, Netflix has gained 2.41 million subscribers in quarter 3 of 2022. Someone replied and says, because they're cracking down on account sharing, not because they're actually gaining viewers. LMAO.
That is true.
Dude,
That is very true.
there are three things you don't share in your life. One, your full legal name with share with strangers. Your full legal name, your social security number, and your Netflix password. We all
Yeah.
know what they're gonna do with that, right?
Watch inappropriate movies.
I don't know why
With-
they're so hung up on this whole account sharing thing.
Uh,
I understand from a business standpoint, but people are gonna do that anyways.
companies be companies, you know.
Very well, looks like you want to get some of the big ones.
Yeah, let's well, since I
Which
am
one do
in
you
the,
want to start off with, Carl?
well, I am in the spooky mood, so I feel like we should knock this one out of the way, especially since it's not something we actually talk about much on the show. Silent Hill Ascension will be coming out in 2023. It is a real-time live interactive series where fans will watch and make the decisions together. Aw, togetherness. Yes, a new installment in the Silent Hill franchise, the
That
famous
is crazy.
the
I'm
famous
bit-
Silent Hill franchise.
When was the last Silent Hill game? I'm gonna look that up.
Gosh, it's been a while.
The last Silent Hill game was 2014. It was PT, the playable teaser. So it's been 8 years since they did anything with Silent Hill.
Yeah, especially being one of the. I wouldn't
Well,
say it's the. I wouldn't say it's the biggest, but it's definitely one of the biggest horror gaming franchises,
It's
and
a
even one of the biggest
popular
horror
franchise.
franchise.
Very popular.
Yeah, I'd say it's only beaten out by Resident Evil when it comes to pure horror franchises, and I guess Five Nights at Freddy's. But you know, we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah,
Um,
we're not here to talk about one of DJ's favorite games, FNAF.
No, I legitimately never played a FNAF game in my life.
I think I played
You're
one
You're not
back
missing
in
much.
middle school.
I played like 2 minutes of when I was bored.
Cross my heart and hope to die if I lie, because I'm not lying. But yeah, Silent Hill, one of the biggest horror gaming franchises out there, is getting a new installment after such a long time. Like, we haven't had a lot from Silent Hill since 2014. I mean, Pyramid Head was brought into Dead by Daylight, which is awesome. I love playing as the Executioner, but still not much. Actually, I wonder if we'll get an appearance from our favorite giant knife carrying beacon of guilt. I guess.
Pyramid Head?
Yeah, Pyramid Head. Actually, have you guys ever played a Silent Hill game?
I've watched gameplay of them. I actually really love the story of 2.
2 is a great game.
2 looks very interesting.
I've never played Silent Hill. The only thing I know about them is the famous dog ending from Silent Hill 2.
Oh yeah, the dog ending.
That's based.
Other than that, I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I played a couple. I played 1 and I played 2. I heard those are the only good ones.
Some people
So
liked 3.
yeah, you're right. Some people did like 3. Maybe I'll give that a shot eventually. But
Okay, so I vote that we start with the most inoffensive DC news there is, with the V is for Vendetta having a crossover with Pennyworth.
yeah, that's pretty inoffensive and self-explanatory too. V for Vendetta is having a crossover with Pennyworth. That's about it as far as we know. Is there other info we want to bring about that, Karl?
Well, it's the only thing I have on the tweet I grabbed from the Absolutely Marvel Indeed Discord. I will shout out that they helped me a lot with this, even though they didn't know they were helping me with this.
Thumbs up to them.
Yeah, we're just farming content off of them. By the way, subscribe to their channel, really good.
We are mosquitoes. We suck the blood.
Yes. But we also add our own spin to it, transformative content.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the news and do what you want.
We take your crap and make it our crap.
Because I didn't intentionally subscribe to their Discord just so they'll do my job for me. I had no clue they were going to do that. They just started posting Twitter stuff like, "Oh, helpful." I don't really ever do my own job anymore.
Sometimes things like that just work out.
But other news we have, if you want me to continue, Jacob.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's go with Superman though. That's
Yep,
good.
A new Superman movie is in the works with Henry Cavill at early stages, according to the Hollywood Reporter.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So this one's being labeled as almost Man of Steel 2. Yeah.
Kinda. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm just very confused about everyone's position and situation with WB. Mostly because I don't think even they know.
No, according
They're
to
just throwing stuff at the wall. That's what I'm thinking.
According to the article from the Hollywood Reporter, which was an exclusive with them, thanks you for them for writing this stupid article. It says here, it isn't clear which superhero or team under WB Discovery CEO David Zara and Warner Brothers features head Michael D. Ludo and Pamela Warner's has an interest hired to reprise the Henry Cavill tension of the superhero. Project that was essentially to be Man of Steel 2 is reduced by Charlie Wright and is currently searching for a writer, while a wish list, of course, of Christopher Walken, the head of the Mission Impossible movies, was on it. Karl worked with Cavill on the 2008 installment of the Fallout movie. Johnson, however, had a Superman plan of his own, who was a former head of something, I don't know what, and was very vocal about his desire to make a Black Adam versus Superman movie, a desire he had only retired more frequently in lead up to Adam's release. This comes as he talks about the surprise cameo at the end of Adam, the actor all about starring that Cavill will appear. They also talk about how it was Walter Hamada, who just will come up later, has just quit from WB Discovery, stepping down. Had an idea to introduce a black Superman with multi-decade spanning and very mean and very bad man, Ta-Nehisi Coates, writing the movie. Sorry, I do not like it.
Canceled it?
They've canceled that project.
Speaking of things they have canceled, Zatanna, the resident magician.
Zatanna.
It's Zatanna.
Zatanna.
It's Zatanna.
No.
Karl here, answering the real questions.
We're getting real politics here. How do you say the name? Zatanna.
How do you guys say it? I say Zatanna.
Zatanna.
Jacob says, I can't even say it. It's Zatanna.
Zatanna.
No, it's not Zatanna. And Karl says Zatanna, which is amazing.
Well, no.
What?
No,
you don't say Zatanna.
No,
well,
I say
it's because like his text to speech thing said it, and it's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
that's why I say it, funny. But it's really Zatanna.
What? No,
it's Zatanna.
It's Zatanna, not Zatanna.
Okay.
Anyways, a Zatanna project has been scrapped by WB Discovery, and they're currently shopping around the project for other streaming services. Maybe it'll go to Disney Plus, like last time with the last rumor.
Maybe we'll make a video on that.
That'll be
And
funny.
then we'll get debunked in like 3 weeks.
Well, everything will get debunked eventually.
That's what you get when you follow comic book news.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
That's when you follow news in general. 1 minute the statement might be right, next minute it'll be wrong. It's just news in general.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think the next thing to mention would probably be James Gunn is gonna be uh it's focusing on Peacemaker season 2.
Oh. Again, all of this comes from that article I mentioned earlier. It mentioned he is working on 2 secret projects for WB Discovery, but he is currently focusing on season 2.
Which I mean I've seen the Suicide Squad. I've not seen the Peacemaker show. I know Karl has. You want to give us some insight on that, Karl?
Peacemaker, it is a funny show thanks to one John Cena. John Cena is a funny guy. Him and a
Apparently
damn.
it's also very crude as well, apparently.
Oh God. I think at least one. I don't remember exactly. You might see somebody, either male or female private part. I don't remember exactly. Actually, I think you do see female private parts at least once, I think. But it's an interesting story they tell. They always make fun of the Justice League, which is fun.
I have seen that scene where he's talking about Batman. I've definitely seen that one.
And how they somehow got Jason Momoa and He Who Shall Not Be Named to show up at the end of the show.
We'll get to him.
That's why I didn't mention him. We'll get to him, but finally got those two to show up. Which, fun fact about that scene that I'll mention here: the He Who Shall Not Be Named scene was actually filmed on the Guardians of the Galaxy set
Memorial.
because they ran out of time and they couldn't, so they just had to do it there. So Disney allowed them to film that scene.
Hey, there's your Marvel and DC crossover, guys. What more do you want?
Yeah, we all know it's not happening again. I mean, if they get desperate enough, they will.
But I doubt that. Although considering the direction WB is, I wouldn't be too surprised if within the next 5 years, DC's all in the mouse's hands. Or gloves.
Or
Whatever.
or WB Discovery's like, okay, we're done. DC, you go to Marvel. You go to Disney over there.
Exactly.
This is a problematic company. Go over there. Disney, you're used to controversy. Go over there.
It's yours now. But yeah. I mean, I like James Gunn. He makes good stuff usually. So good
Yeah.
for him.
It also says that he's angling for his own 2 DC projects, or 1 or 2. And he and producer Peter Savat are in talks with Warner's for a mystery movie that more possibly that Jones could tackle.
Well, you never know. Time will tell.
He's already Peter Saval guy. We'll go off on a tangent about him for just like he's also a producer on Shazam, the upcoming and its upcoming sequel, as well as Aquaman and that movie sequel as well. So he knows some of what he's doing because I've heard Shazam is good. I have not seen it, but Aquaman is very good.
Have any of us actually seen Shazam?
No,
I've seen a bit of it. It's somewhat funny.
Oh, that's good.
I think it's the only DCEU movie I'm technically missing.
Yeah, whatevs.
Yeah, but
before, did you want to segue into the next one, or did you want me to?
I thought we stick with some more news from that article about Batman before we get
That's
to
exactly
He Who
what I
Should
was
Not Be Named.
That's what I was going to lead into.
Okay, then go ahead.
Well, so more news on the Batman as it might be getting some spin-offs. Its plans include the inclusion of a famous villain Scarecrow, Clayface, and relatively well-known villain Professor Pig. Some of the more disturbing of Batman's villains when you don't count the Joker, which you know what? I'm kind of glad they aren't. But yeah, there isn't really much else to say. But these three characters are very likely to show up very soon within the realm of the Batman within the future. I like Scarecrow. Clayface has always been cool, and I feel like Professor Pig is a very underutilized villain. So, hey, it'll be some fun. What do you guys think?
Uh, I thought it was really good.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, sorry, focusing on something.
I okay. I actually take it back. That's, in my opinion. Or actually, no. I'll let Karl speak first because he knows my opinion on it.
okay.
Yeah.
Carl?
It's interesting. We've seen. I know we haven't seen Clayface. We only two characters we've seen in live action of that list is Scarecrow from Batman Begins in 2005. I want to say it was.
I think it was 2005.
And technically, Professor Pig appeared in the well-received, joking here, Gotham show. He did appear in that show.
Yeah, he was in there.
Clayface is the only villain on that list who did not appear in that. It appeared in live action.
Which is very surprising considering he's a very iconic Batman villain. I mean, a lot of people know who Clayface is.
Thank you, Arkham City.
Yes, thank you, Arkham City. And thank you, Lego Batman. He's the first villain you fight.
Clayface, I understand why they've never done it because up until recently, our CGI has not been that good. Now we probably could do him more realistically without him looking like a giant CG mud pie.
Make him look like Scar from the She-Hulk show. People like talking about him right now, right? How bad the CGI is for Scar.
For which
But-
Scar?
Yeah, Scar appeared at the end of She-Hulk. Spoilers.
Oh, do you want to see it, Jacob?
I don't remember that character.
Scar, son of Hulk.
I don't know that character.
You know
Okay,
about
well-
Scar?
I don't know about Scar.
Okay, never mind. We won't bring him up. Anyways,
Well, he was the son of the Hulk after World War Hulk.
Planet Hulk.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of went into each other though. So
Yeah,
I
he's
can
the son
understand
of-
how.
Son of the Hulk. After he and this chick was like, "Hey, I'm gonna smash you," but like hypothetically.
I'll search up right now when we're talking about.
But
No,
anyways,
I got the picture for you. Don't worry. Yeah, go
Oh
ahead, Carl.
boy, looks bald. His hairline's receding, dog.
in other news, if you don't, we got some news on some scripts that have been written. We got a script segment for Wonder Woman 3 by Patty Jenkins, the director and writer for the first two. First one was good. Second one was complete time-wobby bullshit.
I haven't even seen the second one, and I know that's true. Although,
And
like you said, the first one is actually good.
only thing I have, only problem I really have with the first Wonder Woman is they should not have had Ares, the big Ares fight at the end. But it kind of,
What are you gonna do?
like kind of killed the theme of the movie. Anyways, we also got a Flash sequel has been written by Aquaman's writer David Leslie Johnson McGonigal. Correct. Man, is that a long ass name?
Which that's the last thing you would expect right now to surface. I know these things are usually done way in advance, but the fact that a Flash 2 script has pretty much already been written It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's like they're jumping the gun.
Especially considering everything that's happened with Mr. Miller, which again we will get to.
They've also finally and officially confirmed that the Batman 2 is moving forward.
What? You mean
Already?
You mean this really successful movie that people really enjoyed is getting a sequel?
And by the logo I have here, it looks like it'll be a very chilling movie.
Yo, is Freeze gonna be in it?
I'm guessing because the logo is blue.
Based. Love Mr.
Uh,
Freeze. In
Oh,
fact, you would
I
know.
forgot to talk about my opinions on the spin-offs.
oh, that's
Hey,
right. Go ahead.
go ahead.
But that kind of goes with all the Batman stuff.
I have a problem with the comic industry and how it deals with lots of books surrounding the same character and spin-off characters.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen in the movies.
What do you mean? You don't want to have to read? I mean, not read. You don't have to see the Scarecrow show to know what happens in the Batman 2?
No, I'd rather watch the movies. Just get them as I go.
That's wild.
I know. It's a really radical idea. And not just pumping out content for something super successful and actually waiting. Like I'm not saying it's completely innocent, but Zelda does a lot of this, makes the fan base wait, and absence makes the heart grow fonder. And if you put out little projects and make really good ones when they do come out, people enjoy that stuff. Like that, there hadn't been a Batman movie, like a true to form Batman movie without anyone else in it since like 2012.
Yeah, since Dark Knight Rises, pretty much.
So there was a long time people have been waiting for a Batman movie. If you start putting this out, people will be like, "Oh, that's cool," and then they probably won't watch it. Or at least that's my case.
I mean, isn't that pretty much the problem with the MCU at this point?
Yeah, there's too much. Too much of a good thing isn't good. It's very bad.
Wise words.
But I don't know that. I just hate how that happens in the comic industry. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of it because I read both the Robin run until it was canceled, or until it ended because I don't think it was canceled. It just went into the Batman Robin book. And then I've been reading Nightwing ever since it started releasing the new run. So I guess I am guilty of spin-off characters, but that's different. It's not the same as like a villain miniseries. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I very much agree with you, pretty much on all fronts there. Like
It'd be like, would you rather read an Avengers story with Taskmaster in it or a Taskmaster story? I'd rather read an Avengers story with Taskmaster in it personally, but that's just me.
I very much agree. But what do you think, Carl?
It depends. I hate to say it kind of does depend on the villain. Like, for example, a character who was a villain that kind of turned into a superhero, Deadpool. Deadpool was a villain when he first appeared in, I think, New Mutants number something.
100.
Oh, one. Thank you. New Mutants
No,
100.
98. I don't know. They're close. So who cares? We're not like the moderators of a Discord server that just relies on comic book accuracy.
But he debuted as a villain. He was a merc. He was very same with the Punisher. The Punisher was a bad guy. He was a bad guy. He was a villain against Spider-Man when he first appeared. Now they're both superheroes now. Even to, I guess, a lesser degree, Wolverine was technically a bad guy when he first appeared in The Incredible Hulk. Now he's a massive superhero. So it really depends. Jason, same way. He was a bad guy back then. Now he's a good guy.
Okay, but I'd argue that character just transformed into his new role. He never I guess he was never a side character. He was a main character. My point is the side characters are getting full stories. I don't know. It's maybe I'm just really anal about this stuff. Just cares too much about it.
No, you definitely do care, Jacob.
Like I've seen it happen with comics too much. I don't want it to happen to movies.
Oh, it's going to happen.
I
We're
mean,
getting a.
MCU's already doing it. I don't want it to happen to DC. I think that's what I'm trying to say because it already happened to Marvel.
I was gonna say we're getting a Thunderbolts movie.
I,
We're
Thunderbolts is cool and all, but they're like C-list Avengers, and the Avengers used to be C-list as well. Um,
ready to go into our next topic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we want to discuss who shall not be named, or do we go into our boycott discussion?
You're really
Uh,
asking me if I want to jump from a high dive into a pool of infested piranhas with a cow tout around my waist, or if I want to put other way around, toothpicks under my toenails and kick a wall.
Which one do you
Yes,
prefer?
I'd rather just.
Let's get it over with.
Let's do who should not be named next or after.
Okay. The unfortunately Mr. Miller has pled not guilty to 2 counts of felony burglary. If he is convicted, he could face a maximum of 26 years in prison and $2,000 in fines.
I feel like we've talked about
Well, we talked about Ezra before on
we
the
talked
channel
about Ezra Miller too much.
a couple of times, and
Ezra
I'm
Miller
sick
takes
and,
up most of our content on the channel.
and I'm sick and tired of this Mark.
DJ, are you sick and tired of talking about Ezra Miller?
Yes.
Yes,
I am.
if we stop talking about Ezra Miller, do I get a cookie?
Yeah, you
Maybe.
have to go to DJ's house. You gotta go to DJ's house and go ask him for a cookie.
I'll do that one. I'm starting to embrace it,
All the audience go ask him for a pizza chocolate cake.
No. I'm not that generous.
No, you can't give to the viewers. They're all for me, remember?
No, Stinky.
And
Yeah.
remember that last time you gave me Chips Ahoy, I don't want that. I want Oreos, dude.
You're
Only the good stuff.
Yeah. That's our new update on Mr. Miller.
I don't want to talk about Ezra Miller anymore. So
I mean, do we have anything else we need to add regarding it other than it's just been
no,
more
we've
shenanigans?
already talked about. We've already talked about Ezra Miller enough.
Yeah. But
The man doesn't know how to keep himself out of trouble. What can I say?
continuing with our DC news, we mentioned it earlier, but Walter Hamada is no longer the president of DC Films. Who the hell cares about him?
What's he done?
He's just the president. Making
Oh.
DC
Who cares about the
Films.
president, dude?
We actually have a comment from one of the actors who worked for Mr. Hamada. Ray Fisher of Justice League celebrates the departure of him and is quoted saying, "May we never experience his like again."
This is in referring to the
The
firing
entire,
of Ray Fisher. Correct?
more like he fired himself. Ray Fisher fired himself.
Don't need all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Actually, I would say sad, but I mean, you bring on yourself, right?
Yeah, he literally said, "I will never work for you again." Said that to the president of DC Films and the president of WB, who won. I don't think they were both working at that time when the investigation into the into Justice League with Joss Whedon had happened. It's like, you fired yourself, dumbass. Whatever.
I feel like I don't know. Like someone like Ray Fisher is no better than any of us. And I did enjoy him in his role in the Snyder Cut. It was quite good. Um, I do not feel the need to go back and watch that movie again because it's like 4 hours long. The one time thing. But I
Oh, yeah.
enjoyed it for what it was. And I thought that Ray Fisher was pretty good in it.
Now we mentioned earlier, a boycott of the Black Adam movie. Again, another credit to Absolutely Marvel and DC. They brought up this topic and I thought it was an interesting discussion for us to do. They had a tweet reposted to them, and I will read it to you two and get your opinions on. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in a recent interview, said that he had been fighting for 6 years to bring Black Adam versus Superman to the big screen. Justice League was shot 6 years ago. Zack Snyder was supposed to return to direct Justice League sequels after that, but the egotistical Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wanted to create his own universe with Superman and the JSA instead of continuing the Snyderverse. All my fellow Snyder Knights need to realize that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is literally one of the reasons Snyderverse did not get restored. His DCEU pitch to Warner Brothers is literally the one they chose instead of restoring the Snyderverse. We all should collectively hashtag boycott Black Adam.
A little bit of deja vu, huh?
I've just been in this place before.
And across social media, fans appear to be hopeful with Walter Hamada's departure from DC Films, meaning Warner Bros. Discovery will hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
Who cares anymore, dude?
Get out of dreamland, you dunce heads.
Like, these people, what they think, right? Is that every waking moment, I feel like every waking moment of their life is spent saying, could have been the Snyderverse. You know, just mad staying on Reddit. And I
Like,
think people actually agree with them when really they're just psychopaths.
It really
Yeah,
does be
like
like that sometimes.
they're
Yeah,
the
sometimes very
biggest bullies
sacrifice.
you'll find in the comic book internet.
um, like, ever heard of that expression? If you ask for something too often, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
This is literally them. If you, not that it will happen, but if you stop asking about it, you might. Word might. You might get it, but if you don't, then fine. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know who's asking.
Like, I liked Zack Snyder's portrayal of Batman. I liked Batfleck. I did. I really did. But if he didn't continue, I wouldn't care. I just, as long as the actor who plays him next does a good job and does not pull a Clooney, will be good.
Some people just think too hard about this stuff when when there's no reason to think hard about it. It's literally just, you know, like, I don't know. It's not even like animation, which I could understand like bringing back an animated show, right? Because it's drawings.
Yeah.
These are people.
here's an example of an animation that did work. I don't know, Jacob, did you ever watch Young Justice when you were a kid?
No, but I know about it.
Young Justice only got 2 seasons. I didn't watch it, but it got 2 seasons and it got canceled by Cartoon Network.
Yeah, and the
For
people wanted it
years,
back.
fans kind of clamored that they wanted it back, but eventually they stopped. Years later, they finally got their wish and they brought back Young Justice for two more
They
seasons.
restored Young Justice.
Yes. So they stopped asking and eventually they got what they wanted.
Yeah.
But
there's a,
and no,
there's
sorry.
a show out. Well, season 2 already finished, but it's called Classroom of the Elite. Its first season was in 2017. It was somewhat popular during that time, and then the second season came out in 2022, 5 years later, and everyone's clamoring about it now. So that pretty much, in my eyes, guarantees a season 3.
But
I don't.
for an example of an animation series that I saw get a hashtag that was very much like this was Omniverse. Ben 10 Omniverse was the last season of the main Ben 10 continuity. And as soon as the Snyderverse came out, you know what I saw on Instagram and Twitter?
Restore Omniverse.
Hashtag restore the Omniverse. Like, no, that only worked because people were being toxic for one thing. You go into any DC live stream at that time, all the thing was hashtag restore the Snyderverse, hashtag restore. No, sorry, hashtag release the Snyder Cut, hashtag release the Snyder Cut. That's all you saw. Even if it wasn't even something that had to do with DC films, like they announced Aquaman getting a new #1. Hashtag restore the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Go away. Stop it.
You think that these people, these I'm gonna say man babies because that's what they act like, uh, are actually like you'd think that they'd be happy with that, but they're not. They want more.
And another tweet I found that's for the boycott Black Adam thing was Black Adam is basically what decides the future of the DCEU. WB and Harana had a lot writing on it. It's not a film like The Suicide Squad or The Birds of Prey, which doesn't matter to the fate of the DCEU. Watching it is how you enable WB to continue the practice of the old regime. Hashtag boycott Black Adam. Hashtag boycott WB.
These people sound like activists.
I mean, when you put it that way, yeah.
They're like you're supporting the old patriarchy by watching this movie.
Then again, people will always be like that no matter what it is.
Yeah. But it's funny when you compare Snyder fans to activists. Like, yeah, they're pretty similar.
It is pretty similar. It is pretty similar.
They're
I'll give you
annoying.
that point.
They're annoying, loud, and toxic.
I'll give you that
And,
distinction.
They'll clamor until they get something to happen.
Yeah, I'm a personal fan of a Sailor Mount, but that's me. But either way. WB.
Honestly, you could toxic fan culture. You could talk about that. We could talk about it at some point, like toxic fan culture.
Think they should?
There's toxic negativity and toxic positivity.
Oh yeah.
That is very true. Neither are essentially amazing, but one is definitely better than the other.
Think about the reaction to say if you love Batman in public and if you don't like Batman in public. Or to fans of comics.
Yeah.
Who's gonna like fans of superheroes in general? What is someone gonna say there? You got people who are like, "Well, you don't like Batman?"
There will always be people like that.
But if you say you like Batman, people go, "Oh, that's cool."
That's neato. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like
I
there's
definitely
such
get
a,
what you're saying.
and same with Spider-Man. There's such a positive thing around it that that some people don't want like criticism of it.
Did you have something you want to say, Carl?
I just say I can think of. Well, I only do one example of a positive and toxic relationship that kind of flipped on itself. For years,
Oh,
DJ might remember, people hated Omniverse, Ben 10 Omniverse, if you might remember, DJ. And
I
you might not
remember.
have been. People hated just from the first image of seeing Ben in that new style. People hated it, praised the going the Duffy era, and now it's kind of flipped. Like Alien
Oh,
Force and Ultimate Alien were positively received, and Omniverse was hated. Now it's flipped. Omniverse is
dude, Star
praised,
Wars.
and
Star
then
Wars is a good
Alien,
example.
another
Star
example.
Wars
But
is so big because okay, think about it. You know, people really like the original trilogy. Everyone can agree on that.
Yeah.
At the beginning, people didn't like the prequels. They're like, "Oh, this is bad." That who likes this stuff? And then the sequel trilogy comes out, and those people who hated the prequel trilogy are like, "Hey, this is not that bad."
Time truly heals all wounds, don't it?
And then
Even
when the next set of movies comes out, you're gonna have people be like, "Hey, the sequel trilogy, maybe we should look back on it, maybe a little positively." And like 5 years ago, people are gonna be like, "Wait, why are you thinking that?" Everyone hated it. So it's this cycle of such positive praise for something that it can't be criticized. Like imagine you try to say, for example, that maybe the lack of planning, uh, in my opinion, the lack of planning shows in like New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, which is
I
which
very
it
much
which
agree. Both of those are great examples of it, by the way.
but saying that in this fan base, I get crucified because you know that there's such positivity around the original trilogy, which I still love, by the way. But there's such positivity around you can't say anything that's relative. It's not even negative, but a little contradictory to the super positive narrative. And I feel like I'm going to Star Wars, man. I love Star Wars. I'm very passionate about it. But you get what I mean?
oh yeah,
Like there are certain things like censoring yourself you wouldn't say because you know that people wouldn't approve of it, or people would think you're dumb for thinking that. Oh, do you think that do you have any examples, Carl, or DJ? Like something that's so positive, like that you can't say anything about it because Carl gave his. I thought it was interesting. It's why you have like a split in the Star Wars fan base. I don't know how we got on this talk. I guess we were just talking about crazy Snyder fans.
well, yeah. We just talk about fandom and how toxic the Snyderverse fans are, but they kind of diverge off of that topic. Unless DJ has something else to say.
I don't think he has much to say about
Uh,
it. We'd be talking if we did.
uh, our next topic we have is I forgot to mention it last week, but there was news about the original voice actress who's playing Bayonetta in the Bayonetta 3
Oh
game.
yeah, did we get an update on that?
Like she didn't want to. I think she was getting paid like I think 4,000 for the role. I had it up. I just forgot to mention it. Sorry, but the new actress playing her, Helena Taylor, was offered at least 15,000 to pay to play the role in the game.
Did you accept that?
I believe so, but that's all I have from this IGN article.
Because I remember there was a dispute earlier with her only getting paid You mentioned earlier 4,000, which is really dumb for someone of that like popular that popular of a character. But I'm glad she got more money.
But next one we have on our list is from a new Digimon World Next Order International Edition will be released for the Nintendo Switch on February 22nd, 2023. I don't know anyone who plays the Digimon games, but I found that interesting.
They actually recently released a game called Digimon Survive, which is a visual novel. So Digimon is still very well alive. I probably won't play it, but I think it's very cool that it's here.
Next one we have is I hate to say it, a little political, but Elon Musk, who is potentially again buying Twitter, said plans to lay off 75% of the 7,500 employees if he acquires a company. This would be one of the biggest tech job cuts in years.
Well, my initial reaction to that is the job market is not good as it is at the moment. Or it's actually not bad, but like it could be better, but he would just be making it worse. So I don't agree with it, I guess. Even if he does buy it, there's gonna be people who leave because they don't like him.
Oh yeah.
Or they stay because they want to check. Because everyone works for the master, which is the silver dollar. But yeah, I think that's a very bad idea. I think if some people would have different reaction to this information, they probably would support it, considering how they might feel the way Twitter's gone. But in general, I don't like people losing their jobs, so I'm against it. What do you think?
Some people at Twitter do need to be fired out because they're not doing their jobs very well, but I don't think all of them should go. Maybe 50% should go. Not 100, not 75.
Yeah,
Or at
I
least
don't.
get rid of the people who are not doing their jobs. At least get rid of them.
I mean, I think anyone who doesn't do their job should be fired because it's a job. What else are you doing instead?
But
Right, that's just how I roll.
but
Is
the
is that
last
all the topics we had, or is there more?
we have one more topic that I just posted the link in our little server we run for just ourselves. Sorry guys, but is they have announced a Cobra Kai Power Rangers Lightning Collection crossover beginning in Q1 of 2023, exclusive to Target. And
That's gonna. I think it's an interesting crossover.
it kind of starts off because in I want to say season 5, episode 9, called Survivors, you can plainly see two Lightning Collection Red Ranger and Green Ranger figures in the background of the scene. So
So
that's just how.
is it the company making them, or are they directly fighting the Power Rangers?
No, they're the Hasbro they're going to release, inspired by the Cobra Kai series, will release a special Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Cobra Kai Capsule Collection, which will include one Ranger and one action and one Cobra Kai character.
Oh,
It says here,
interesting.
in the past few years, Hasbro has dedicated to expand its popular Power Rangers Lightning Collection figure to bring into characters from different martial arts related franchises. In 2021, saw the reveal and release of the TMNT crossover figures, and all over the last few months, characters from Street Fighter have been brought to the line. However, thanks to a report about the brand prior to the release of Season 5 of this past September, next year will a collaboration with Cobra Kai, according to the
I've
article.
only watched a little bit of the show, but I like the original Karate Kid movies, so
Yep.
I think it's cool.
And with all that news out of the way, it is time for us to wrap up once again the weekly roundup. We had some good news this week, boys. Some not some good news, especially when it comes to good old Warner Brothers. But hey, such is life. C'est la vie. Always has been. But hey, maybe sometime in the future, maybe they'll get their proverbial
their-
butt gear.
To get their shit together.
Yeah, that. But this is your favorite Southern California song on behalf of my friends Karl and Jacob, saying that we will be seeing you guys next time. Bye bye.
See y'all. See y'all.